10 persons accused of being masterminds of the nationwide End Bad Governance protest are in court for their arraignment. The protesters are accused of criminal conspiracy with the intent to destabilize Nigeria, inciting mutiny and treason, among others. One after the other, they take their plea and all plead not guilty. The prosecutor applies for the defendants to be remanded in a correctional facility. However, lawyers to the defendants requested for their clients to be remanded in police custody. The lawyers equally applied for bail for their clients, as they claim that they have been in police custody for several weeks. Counsel to the Nigeria Police Force objected to the bail requests on the grounds of the gravity of offences allegedly committed by the defendants.
There were crises across the country, and you agree with me that properties were destroyed, some burnt, and people were also killed, and that is why these defendants were arrested and they are being prosecuted. It's not an issue of protest; it's an issue of inciting mutiny.
Lawyers to the defendants fault the charges against their clients.
The learned senior advocate for the prosecution, where he had already passed sentence and ruling on some of the defendants, and this is wrong. This is media trial, and this is media publicity.
It is quite unfortunate that the government that has benefited more than any other in the history of Nigeria from protest and dissent has the balls to arraign Nigerians for peacefully protesting and demand for social justice. It is trite that protest is a right, and protest can never be criminalized by anybody or any government in Nigeria.
The presiding judge, after listening to arguments for and against the bail application, ordered the defendants to be remanded in a correctional facility in Kuje and Suleja until the 11th of September, when he is expected to rule on the bail application and commence trial.
Welcome back, and that's what we're going to now. The governance situation in the country. Yes, our protest was there, End Bad Governance. That was a couple of weeks ago. But then this one that happened yesterday, or yesterday, right? The prices of pump prices of fuel going up, and the rollout of PMS from Dangote Refinery. All of this we have to look into. We have Sulaulu Akonde, former presidential aide, here with us in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Good morning.
You know, normally we say Sunday medicine. Your own is Thursday medicine. But now this, so we had that pump price going up.
Right.
And, a few hours before then, we had the minister's aide put out a statement that the minister did not direct the NNPC Limited to increase its pump price because they are independent of the ministry. But suddenly, we now see fuel stations changing their prices, and the regulator comes up with different price ranges across the country. But in the face of that, we still have the economic hardship, the effects of the fuel subsidy removal.
Right.
Where are we going from here?
Well, it's a very bad situation for Nigerians, and I dare say it's even touchy for government. Also.
Really?
Oh yes, of course.
It doesn't look that way.
And the point is that you can't deny the truth. You can't deny a fact. The fact of the matter is that the times are very hard. The policies, which many people we concede has to be taken, are really causing a lot of hardship. So both the people and the government, everybody is touchy right now. And I think that the lesson that we might get away from this is the fact that when we leave, and this is over the years, when we leave what we ought to do undone, it ends up this way. And the sad thing is that it's the Nigerian people that are always at the wrong end of the stick. Because if you look at what had happened with this subsidy, look, it's been a while that we've been on this subsidy thing. We got to remove subsidy, caused by a lot of inefficiencies and a lot of corruption. But we've not had a consistent and a comprehensive review and addressing of the problems. So over the years, one government will try and pass it on, and I find it quite, I find it quite, distressing that even though we've had presidents being the Minister of Petroleum Resources, and that has not made any significant improvement. We had Obasanjo; he was the minister. Effectively, we had I think President Buhari and then President Tinubu. They had the ministers for petroleum resources. And so how better can the problem be dealt with if the presidents themselves cannot sort it out? And like I said, it's the Nigerian people that have to suffer for this. But maybe, yeah.
Why? Just so the Nigerian people can understand why does because he is correct. This is the third president who's Minister of Petroleum. In fact, many people are saying right now that he should resign from being the Minister of Petroleum because based on the indices of many people, he has failed to deliver as minister, even though he's also president. So he should resign his position as Minister of Petroleum. But why do they take up that responsibility, if I may ask?
Well, because, there is... Now, look, there are two critical institutions that will determine whether the Nigerian economy rises or falls more than any other one. It's the CBN and it's NNPC. So, and there's a lot of corruption in NNPC and the oil and gas sector. And it's not about personalities. It's just a system. And so the assumption is that, okay, if the president himself sits on top of this thing, he will have a stronger grip of what it is,
Does he?
Yeah,
Do they, over the years, have they had a better grip? Have they been better at running this business?
That's the point.
Have they?
Yeah, look at how long it took for us to have the PIA, started during Obasanjo's time, if I'm right, or later, the idea started at that point, rose up during Yaradua, Jonathan. We couldn't have it until, Buhari signed. But then, are we actually even following the act in total? Yeah, so there are a lot of inefficiencies, there are a lot of corruption. We have not had, let's just put it very bluntly, we have not had the kind of courageous leadership that can terminate this problem. And the bad thing is that the people are the ones that are suffering.
What is the problem?
Corruption. I mean, it's very simple. It's as simple as that. It's corruption.
What type of corruption is this that cannot be handled by a president?
Well, in my view, we've not had a president that is courageous enough to go after the people and the system that is perpetrating the corruption. It's a very simple thing.
When you say a president that's courageous enough, the president is, yes, the buck stops at his table.
Right.
But he has lieutenants. So when they find the situation, if you want to look at it based on what was,
right.
I mean, from the EFCC at the time when the now NSA was the head of the EFCC, talked about every politician, so to speak, being corruption, exposed to corruption already, or more or less corrupt, allegedly corrupt.
Right.
If we want to look at it from that angle, then everybody should be out of office and in jail.
Well,
Can we do that?
Everybody is not corrupt.
I said based on what the EFCC report was at that time.
Well, even then, if you remember very correctly, my brother, in I think in 2006, 2007, Nuhu Ribadu was the chairman of EFCC, and he said that there were 5 governors who were not, even at that time, there were 5 governors who were not being investigated. We always find honest people. There's no doubt about that. There are honest people in Nigeria. I have worked with.
I actually think there are more honest people than corrupt.
Absolutely.
So how is it that we don't have this? For instance, now we're having this protesters. I mean, the Constitution gives the right to Nigerians to protest.
Right.
But we have them being tried for whatever reason. And you heard the lawyers talk about the fact that this is a media trial and all of that. So we have people saying end bad governance, end corruption, and then we see the courts prosecuting this one. And then some will say the problem is not just the fact that we don't have, as you said, we don't have a leader who will say enough is enough. We also have institutions that are not willing to bail the cat.
Right.
The judiciary, the legislature, the executive.
Right.
At what point do we see all of these institutions coming together to see an end to things?
It will be at the point when the critical mass of Nigerians say no more. And that doesn't happen, even among the elites. You have to get to a critical point where the elites will say that, look, we can't go below this level. I think we're getting close to there, but we are still not there. And that is what, one finds very depressing, that, look, what will it take, for instance, for us to have political leaders who will say, look, our job is to represent the people. Our job is to make things easier for the people. And once we put ourselves out to do it, we have to confront the challenges boldly. I was talking about corruption. Look at the level of oil theft that is going on in this country. Can you just imagine? Look, the regulators themselves, the regulatory agency in this country said that we have to depend on the IOCs, the folks that lift the oil. They are the ones that tell us, I say, oh yeah, this is the amount of oil that we lift. And then, you find out that recently one of the IOCs left, and then somebody else takes the asset, and then boom, the production goes on. So we are left at the mercy of some of these people, and we are not doing what we ought to do. How come we don't have measurement in the oil flow stations to tell us that, okay, this is the amount of oil, and everybody can see it transparently? You have all the agencies there, but then we are still dealing with oil theft. Very critical. These are the problems, in terms of corruption. But when you look at the issue of the subsidy, I think that we have to find a way to do some kind of subsidy. I mean, look.
In the oil sector?
Yeah. I mean, for fuel particularly. Look, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we must give him the credit that he has the courage to say, look, let's end the state. But he didn't do it properly. He didn't plan properly for it. And then 2 months, subsidy was back. The reason why the subsidy was back was that even himself, he couldn't tolerate the fact that the prices are going to go up the roof. So they had to bring... The
prices still went up the roof.
Exactly, eventually. Yeah, but even now...
We do have to get in Ayo because we are running out of time. Ayo has a few questions for you.
Well, thank you, Kayla. What's interesting, Mr. Akonde, is that, everyone who is aware of what's been happening, reckon that, look, even the previous administration under which you had the privilege of serving with, already made it clear. I remember December 2022 or thereabout. I remember the minister of the Republic then, I think Mr. Fashola, was saying that, look, subsidy has already been removed as of December 2022, and that it will terminate finally in June of 2023 after the government of the day at the time left office. So the president here, there are those who have continued to refer to that, look, the president only just came to announce what that government had already decided. But, you may want to speak to that. Well, one comment that I would just want you to speak to is how we can, if there is a way to decentralize all of these issues that we're having. We have 36 state governors. Each one of them has commissioners. And it would seem like they only have the paraphernalia of office, they have the positions, and that's it. No one seems to be feeling them at the various states. So is there a role for governors at the different states to help to ameliorate the effects of these pains on the people in their states? I mean, speaking from your vantage position as a former presidential aide, is there a role for them?
I mean, thank you, Ayo, for that question. The truth of the matter is that some of the things that we can get done pretty quickly, in my view, is to have the governors play a little bit more role, or put better, take a bit more responsibility for what is happening in their states. So a situation where even some of the state governments, if you look at their comments, in all of this issue, they try to deflect everything to the federal government. Yes, the federal government is in charge of monetary policy. Federal government is the one that owns NNPC and all of that, so they have a role to play and all of that. But I believe that their state governors, because of the quantum of resources that is available to them, should also be able to deal and manage some of the things that create hardship. For instance, the issues of agriculture. There is nothing at all in the Constitution that debars or constrains a governor to take care of agriculture in a state the way he finds fit or likes, to solve the problem. There are all kinds of things that governors can do to ameliorate. I mean, look at the question of moving the produce from the farm to the market. These markets, these farms are in states. Now, a lot of the inflation that you have for food prices happen because of the cost of transportation. And we know where the farms are. What stops state governments from ensuring that the transportation of the produce in those farms to the markets are sorted out? It's not even a big deal. But when you have governors who are more interested in other things, this is what you have. And, you don't say all the governors, but many of them.
Mr. Laura Conde, we'd like to thank you so much. We do hope that government and leadership at all levels, as someone said, when the local government is sorted, all of this, Italian actually started this thing. When the local government is sorted, everything will be sorted out. So hopefully, let's hope that this will be sorted out. But thank you so much for coming in. Mr. Laura Conde is a former presidential aide who joined us here in our studios.